Hey, what's up, you guys? Ross out here in Singapore, and as always, thank you so much for joining me on the Night Owl podcast. You guys, as you all know, this is my little space that I've kind of carved out from the noisy social media landscape so that I can actually sit here and think about the things that I've experienced in my life, the conversations I've had, the information I've absorbed throughout the day, and if there's some nugget of information that I really thought was, mind boggling or caused me to stop and pause and really think for a moment, I want to share that with you because if I was able to have an epiphany, maybe something I say will have uh, an impact on your life somewhere, somehow. Anyway, so I've been watching a lot of reality TV and it's given me a lot of pause for thought because there are certain words and certain phrases that people say over and over and over again. Now, on reality TV dating type shows, they have many options for people to kind of like speed date, basically. You're trying to go through as many options as possible to find your best possible match to see if you can filter people rather than find one person, have a couple things in common, and try and commit right away, right? So here's what I'm finding out. People like to use the words "I'm confused" a lot. They're not confused, they know what they want. They know exactly what they want, but they also know that making that choice has repercussions. So let's say they've been with somebody for the first 5 episodes of a season, right? And they are really vibing with them, everything's fine, and then someone new comes on the show, and of course they're all encouraged to get to know each other and date each other, but they've already made a commitment to this person. And while the new person may actually be a better fit for them, they feel conflicted, not confused, conflicted about making the new decision for themselves because they've promised something to somebody else in the first place. Now, a lot of times it happens in real life as well. Maybe you end up going to the same places over and over again as part of your routine. You meet someone in one of those places, you hit it off, it seems kind of cool, y'all are vibing, y'all are dating or whatever, and suddenly you're in a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. But somewhere down the line, you meet someone else in a new situation, a new area or whatever, and you find that that person also gets along with you and you're trying your best to figure out who's the better fit. But guess what? You find guilt in the fact that you're looking at somebody else who might be a better fit. You feel like you're betraying the person that you're with at the moment because you're trying your very best to find somebody that fits you better than what you have. First of all, the idea of looking while you're with somebody is already frowned upon because it's not fair if you've got your options open and the other one is already committed, right? You've closed the door, they haven't, or you've opened the door and they've closed it. They've decided you're the one. They're going to submit all of their time to you and put in as much effort as they can to grow the relationship that they have. But you find somebody along the way that meets a different set of criteria that you can talk to or be open about different areas of your life than you were before. I've seen so many times where people will rather say I'm confused, which means I don't know what to do, versus I'm conflicted. I know what I want to do, but what my obligations are, my responsibilities are, my duties are is very different and conflicts with what I want to do at the moment. A lot of people live in the moment. Some people live, in the future, which means that they're planning things, they're laying down groundwork. They're already running marathons when they're meant to be running sprints first to figure out what works best, what strategies work best, what form works best. I don't know. But the point being that rather than to use the word "I'm confused," it would be a lot easier to say "I'm conflicted." And a lot of times we don't, as a society, allow for conversations that express any kind of doubt, any kind of uncertainty, any kind of, being torn between two choices, because the best thing that you could do is to be able to discuss it with these people rather than go behind their backs. I've seen teen moms, right? The episodes of Teen Moms where they were given an ultimatum, they weren't allowed to do something, but they really, really, really wanted to do it. And rather than have a space where they could sit down and discuss why they want to do these things, what they're actually thinking, and then have the other person be able to express their point of view and maybe help them sort through the emotions that they're dealing with at the time, they would rather go behind everybody's back, do what they want to do, and hopefully apologize later and have it all work out. It doesn't work that way in real life. People's feelings get hurt. And a lot of times people don't make the kinds of decisions they could make if they had all the information because people refuse to give them all the information. I remember when I was first in college with my very first boyfriend, we had been on again, off again. It had been very, very rocky. I was not pleased with the relationship, but I was doing the best I could because I had committed to him. We had been together for 2 years before I got pregnant, and then he put me through an abortion. And then after that, it was kind of out of obligation because I did break up with him. He did come crying back to me and was like, "Oh my gosh, no, I want to be with you. I want to make this work." And I thought, okay, you know what? We've been through some tough things. Let's see if we can get through this as well. So we finished out college together. We went on to date for another I don't know, I think it was maybe 3, 4 years after that, we went through him going through state trooper school, him moving to a different location, and a lot of this stuff he had done without his parents' approval or his parents' information. He told his dad, he didn't tell his mom. He left that to me to tell the parents. And so we felt like because we'd gone through a lot of major life milestones that we were going to make it. So eventually, after 7 years, when he decided to ask me to marry him, I was conflicted. I wanted to scream no, but he did it in a public place. He did it in front of a bunch of strangers. So it would have been okay for me to say no, but it still would have been devastating. And I was afraid of what would the repercussions be immediately if I said no, because at the time we were living together. Would he immediately kick me out? Would there be a, grace period where I can figure out where I was going to live and what I was going to do? And a lot of that stuff came down to no, I don't want to deal with all that stuff. That seems too overwhelming and too frustrating and too terrifying and painful. I'm just going to say yes because that's the expected reaction and hope for the best. Part of me thought that, okay, maybe now that you waited 7 years and decided to ask me to marry you, that you were finally sure of who I was. But I also realized that once I said yes, I had a chance to see if his behavior really had changed, if he really was going to put me first, or if he was going to continue cheating and doing the things that he was doing behind my back. Anyway, so the point being that I was conflicted. I wanted to say no. But because I didn't want to deal with all the repercussions that would come with saying no, I took the path of least resistance and ended up extending my relationship for a couple more years, only to find out that he was not ready to commit. He was hell-bound and hell-bent on hurting me and getting what he wanted, because what we had built was a situation where he could leave the house, he could leave the dog, he could do whatever he wanted because he knew he could leave the responsibility on my shoulders to take care of everything else. And end of scene basically becomes the fact that I was in a situation where I wanted to say no, couldn't say no, felt like I didn't have the right to say no, and it was just too many things to deal with on the back end, so I just did what I thought was right. Fast forward into my marriage, and I was trying my level best not to be paranoid, not to be worried about the fact that there were red signs, because I wanted to tell him that there were some behaviors of his that made me very uncomfortable, but I could not, because even if I hinted at any of those things, not for lack of trying, if I hinted at any of those things, he would make me feel like I was psychotic, like I was making up things in my head, that I was seeing things that weren't actually there, and he would convince me, which is gaslighting, convince me that what I was seeing was wrong, what I was seeing didn't exist, what I was seeing was a different version from what was actually going on. To the point that I got so paranoid that whenever I stepped out of the house, I made sure that I had the kids with me, because he would convince me that the behavior he was guilty of was the things that I was doing, and so he was paranoid that I was doing those same things. It's a thing, right? It's a strategy to make sure that he gets his free will and his freedom to be able to do what he wants. But ultimately, I was conflicted when I left, because on the one hand, I was leaving him and the bad behaviors, and I was not allowing my daughter, my biological daughter, to see us fight all the time. On the other hand, I was leaving the son I had raised for 8 years, the daughter I had raised for 8 years, who were by different mothers, and that we had grown so close that because I took them everywhere, we were the family at home. And he came home after work and he would leave in the morning. He was the fun parent and everything, but I was invested. I was emotionally invested with these 2 children, plus my own, the 3 of us. It was the 3 children and me, right? We ran the house. We went out and had fun. We did what we had to do because Dad was always busy going to do something, running shows or, organizing concerts and I don't know what else. But the point being that I was conflicted. I was not confused. I knew what I wanted. I wanted peace. I was conflicted about how to go about getting that peace. I could, on the one hand, continue as I was, ignore him while he was in the house, or do the bare minimum so that I didn't get into a fight with him, and then the minute he left, we could all have fun and be ourselves. Or I could show my children, by way of example, that I could get up and leave for the right reasons, even though there were repercussions, there was collateral damage. I could get up and leave and do what was best for all of us in the long run, to show them that, hey, if you ever get in a situation and you feel like someone's not treating you right, you are allowed to leave. You do not have to put up with any bad behavior. You can actually change the situation itself. So in that regard, I feel like people need to work out how they actually feel about things. It's easy to say I'm confused because then people don't judge you. It's different, very different, and a lot more honest to say I'm conflicted and try and hope that there is a place where you can both sit down and talk about the things that you're conflicted about. You can discuss, what are the repercussions if I choose this? What are the repercussions if I choose that? I know a lot of times Revealing your hand means that you're giving somebody the opportunity to sabotage the plans you have in mind. But if you don't give them the opportunity to understand where you're coming from, they might not realize the severity of the situation and step up and change their behavior so that they can keep you. You also don't give the relationship a chance to survive past the point where you are at the moment, because they don't realize how important them changing is to you. So I hope that gave you pause for thought. I hope that gave you something else to contemplate, because honestly, it is very different to say I'm confused versus I'm conflicted. All right, you guys, I'll catch you later. Bye.